Hello. Just waiting for Ben and Matt to join.
Hello.
Hello.
We're all here. Hi, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. So today it's our pleasure to take you through MaxContact's 2024 AI roadmap, the year of conversational insights to drive business growth. So we've got a good discussion planned. We'll be sharing more insight into MaxContact's AI journey, market insight that we've accrued over the last 18 months as well. But before we get started, I'll just touch on a couple of housekeeping things. So we are recording the session, so if you have to drop off for whatever reason, we will be sending the link out afterwards. There is a Q&A panel as well in Zoom, so feel free to ask any questions in there. My colleague Leah will be manning the question panel. And there is also a chat panel as well. So if you do want to chat amongst yourselves about the content or whatever it might be, then you can use the chat panel as well. So we have a mixture of new faces and existing clients today. So I'll just start with a quick intro to myself and MaxContact, and then I'll hand over to Ben and Matt. So I'm Kaylee, I'm head of marketing at MaxContact. I've spent many years of my career working in the tech industry for tech brands who have had true customer focuses. And in the last 3 years, I have worked at MaxContact in the contact center and customer engagement world. If you're new to MaxContact and you don't know anything about us, I'll start there. So who is MaxContact? We are a cloud contact center platform for delivering conversation outcomes. We're known for our powerful outbound communication functionality and features alongside omnichannel speech analytics, WFM and PCI compliance solutions. Our difference is really our customer-centric approach. And I know loads of organizations say that, but we don't just say it, we do show it. We work really closely with clients to understand what's happening in their worlds, in their businesses, in the contact center. And that really helps us drive innovation and build features that help actually solve customers' problems. So more recently, we have just released another market-leading outbound feature, outbound skills-based routing, which is in beta with our clients now, getting lots of feedback and improvements. But our aim is to just solve those challenges alongside our clients, which leads us on to this discussion today. So we've been working really hard and we're excited to share the AI journey that we've been on. And I'll hand over to Ben to give us a quick intro.
Well, thanks, Kaylee. So I'm Ben Booth, I'm the CEO of MaxContact's, and I'll give you a little bit of a background on me. So I've worked at the company in various forms for over 20 years. We started off as a reseller, so we used to resell contact center software. I started off my career on first line support, worked my way through implementations, some head off roles. I won't bore you, I'm here today, but I suppose one of the key things is I've been involved in over 500 implementations of contact centers. Used to go to site for weeks at a time before SaaS became a thing. So really got involved of what it meant to work in a contact center, the challenges all the way through for training agents. I used to train the agents, using the system, the complexities, etc. So it gave us a unique insight to build a product for where we are today.
Amazing, thank you. Matt?
Yes, thank you, Kaylee. Morning, everybody. My name is Matt Yates. I'm the VP of Engineering here at MaxContact. And a little bit about myself. So I've been in technology literally all my life since I left university. I've been working for tech companies. So I've got over 20 years experience working with predominantly software engineering teams across numerous companies. And I've had the kind of pleasure of working on some great products over that 20-year period. I've been at MaxContact for getting on for 2 years now. So I joined in April 2022, so 2 years very soon. And I'm really excited about working here and the opportunity that we have. We've got a great existing product, and where we're going with incorporating AI capabilities into the roadmap is incredibly exciting. Myself, I'm really passionate about building great teams, working with great teams, and building great products. And personally, I'm always looking for ways to improve. So I'm passionate about continuous improvement in everything that I do and my teams do and we do as a product organization. So yeah, looking forward to sharing some of the insights around what we're doing with you today.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, before we jump into the first Q&A section, we'll have a little poll if that's all right. So Leah, are you okay to start our poll? So this will help us shape some of our discussion. So it's tell us about your insight challenges within your contact center right now. 1 being the highest priority, 5 being the lowest.
You said that then. I thought you could do the other way around.
Just a few more seconds on that one. People are still feeding back. So far, live from the poll, it's looking like what questions are taking the most time to answer as the highest priority? Any? Oh, and agent training and development actually has just shot up.
That's good.
Yeah, any surprises there, or is that similar to what we're seeing?
I'm not surprised. I mean, I reflect on, we have a mini contact center, we have a support desk, and we have this, it's the same two challenges. It's not the number of cases we get, actually we find the highest volume is the easiest to deal with and takes the least amount of time. It's the ones that take the most time, what are the topics, and then that leads into where your training, coaching needs to be focused on. So and I'd say we're seeing the same from across the industry that we speak to. That really, yeah. It's good to get the same answers, to be honest.
Good. Let's just end that poll. Amazing. So we'll start off. I'll just set a little bit of context as to how we found ourselves on this AI journey, and then we'll dive into questions. My colleague Leah is going to share the slides for us. So thanks, Leah. So if you didn't know and new to MaxContact, we have been around 8 years now. Each part of our evolution has been in reaction to market changes, customers' needs and wants. So we launched our cloud contact center product in 2015 at the time when cloud was really picking up. And it was really known for its outbound dialing functionality. So organizations who had to get through high volumes of data, we needed to get to leads really quickly. It was a really great solution for those organizations. In 2016, we had the joy of GDPR and new regulations enforced. So that really made us as an organization, and I suppose the market as a much wider impact, that we had to be much more intelligent into how we contact organizations and prospects and contacts. Every contact was valuable. So we had to have more smarter ways. So things like our undroppable algorithm was absolutely crucial at that point in time in the market. 2018, we saw exponential growth of social media messaging platforms, which then led us to launch our omni-channel features. And then in more recent years, you see 2020 to 2022, all of us were impacted by COVID. The contact center had huge demands, huge pressure fell on agents. And that's when we introduced our agent wellbeing feature as well. So when no one was watching, just reminding people to take care of themselves so that they can take care of your customers. We thought that was an important step for us as a business. And then more recently in 2023, we saw the release of outbound skills-based routing. So where we're able to match agents with their ideal contacts based on their skills and proficiency, solidifying our position as the best contact center platform for delivering those conversation outcomes. Just reflecting on last year a little bit more to from a wider perspective, AI, it definitely was the year of AI, an AI hype. ChatGPT was the fastest growing web app in history, so with 100 million users in 2 months. So it's fair to say that people were really excited about what the technology could do, both inside of work, but also for yourselves personally. I know I definitely jumped on the ChatGPT bandwagon to explore absolutely everything it could bring for me. But more realistic studies have come out. So KPMG commissioned one towards the end of last year, interviewing business leaders. So 65% said they're extremely likely to be impacted by AI in the industry in the next 3 to 5 years. Yet 60% said that actually we're about 1 to 2 years away from implementing any technology. So I'll hand over to Ben and Matt on this question, but over the last 12 months, when it comes to AI, what have our customers been asking for?
Yeah, I'll start. So just echo your point you've made there. It's AI went on the hyper hype, and it really did. And AI isn't the new technology. AI and speech analytics and all these tools have been around a long time. But what we've seen is a lot of things come together at the same time that allowed an evolution of the technology. And the biggest question we're getting asked is, where does AI actually add value into a contact center? So a lot of people jumped on the bandwagon with features. There's a lot of use cases. There's a lot of marketing hype going around productivity improvements, silver bullet. We're going to revolutionize your contact center. We're going to increase productivity, improve customer experience, increase your sales, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the data isn't there to back it up yet. There's not enough people using it right now to say where it's truly having an impact. And with the burden in the market as we're in today, with budgeting costs and increased staff costs, there's a real... People want to move to it and embrace it, but they don't know where to do it yet. And a lot of people talk about they're going on an AI journey. We talk about this a little bit as well. And again, it's overused. But the first problem we come into is we ask some clients, what problems are we trying to solve? And the biggest answer back is we don't know. Because you need almost that data and insight to say, well, this is actually where it's going to deliver the most value. So it's a bit of a challenge at the moment. And we see the pressures coming up that we want to improve things and we need to embrace technology, but also coming down, everyone, we're embracing AI in our business. I've got Copilot on my PC. I want to know how I can be more productive by using these tools. So it's that battle, but it's, as you mentioned, across the industry, I think there's a bit of FOMO going out. What are others doing that we're not? And, some stats, half contact centers still aren't omnichannel yet. They're just pure voice. And Omni's been around a long time. And I agree, technology is adopted a lot slower than people think. And also it needs to mature. There's a lot of unknowns around this technology and people are already running into problems with it who embraced it fast. And a lot of vendors have been quick to market to get some features out there to jump on that, as they're calling it, a bit of a gold rush. And actually, when implemented, challenges have been faced. So we're trying to do it in a sensible way. Matt will go on to more of that, actually, and I'll let him pick up all the great things we've been doing. And I know we're just releasing features now, but we've been looking at this for years. The question is a bit of indecision and doubt, actually, I'd say. I think there is a bit of caution. I'd also say people have been burnt around buying software in the past. They've been promised the world and it's under-delivered. And I think they're coming into this new technology with that caution and they want to prove that it's going to deliver the value they expect. Yeah, absolutely. So knowing where to start, where the data is, where the challenges might be, that's really the crucial question that people want to answer right now. Yeah, and that guarantee on it will deliver value. I think people know it can. But again, everything is different for every business, has its own problems, own challenges, personalities. So it's then where, and it's not a blanket one solution fits all either. Yeah. And Matt, you have had a lot of conversations with a lot of different businesses. What's your take on it?
So, having spoken to a number of our clients and in different industries as well, I think there's two key areas in terms of the contact center industry. One is, how can AI help me run my contact center more efficiently and effectively? And two is, how can it help me provide a better customer experience? So with those two objectives in mind from a business perspective, the first stage really is to identify where in my contact center can I apply AI technology to generate those improvements. And throughout the customer engagement journey, from the point a customer calls up a contact center, we could inject AI into the IVR system. So you could have, smart, intelligent IVR systems with AI incorporated. We could have smart, intelligent routing to the most appropriate agent. We could focus on helping the agents themselves, both post-call in terms of wrap-up, speeding up wrap-up times, but also real-time as well. So there's actually many different personas, and that's not even thinking yet about the QA function within a contact center. There are many different user personas, from the customer to the agents themselves, to the team leads, to the QA teams, to the compliance teams, who can benefit from AI. The reality is we can't solve all those challenges at once. And so from speaking to different clients, we've identified a common theme across all the clients we speak to, and there's an opportunity first to generate real insight. So I refer to it as discovery. So discovering what is actually happening within those conversations in your contact center, because there is so much data and insight within those interactions, voice and digital, that it's really kind of a goldmine of information that we can use AI to extract insights, which then become actionable in your contact center. And ultimately we can start to then drive automation off the back of that as well going forward. So yeah, lots of use cases we can look at. And from speaking to clients, I think the using AI to effectively kind of supercharge your QA processes is a place where all our clients can potentially benefit.
Thanks, Matt. Let's just chat about some of the challenges that organizations might be coming up against when it comes to they're considering implementing AI in the contact center, but they've perhaps come up against some sort of blocker. We talked about getting started a little bit and knowing where to start. Benny, can you elaborate on that side of things? And are there any other challenges that we see clients facing as well?
Yeah, I've said it, Matt's just said it, is the biggest, there's so much data in a contact center, and if you haven't already implemented something, that's the challenge. You haven't got access to the insights in that data. So where do you start? And quite often it's a problem they do know about, or they think they know about, but there isn't the information to actually put that full value on it. What is the impact? Well, we think it's this, etc. I'll talk about ours. We think the highest case volume or topic where we spend the most time on is X, but I guarantee it'll be Y. So it's that versus that. With AI, it can have, and it's the first technology I've come across. Yes, it can have a positive effect, but it can also have a negative effect if you get it wrong. So if you start, we saw the other day of the DPD, the chatbots and digital deflection, that's become a term. It absolutely can add value to a contact center, but if you get it wrong, it can have negative value. We're seeing it with agents where we used to, when we put predictive dialers in, they thought they were being watched. Because all of a sudden we've got all these reports and dashboards, coaching and monitoring even. Oh, I can be monitored on my call, can I? When we put this in, you're going to be monitoring every call. And all of a sudden you can have these negative effects on people, because ultimately all businesses and contact centers, the same, are people first. And there's even that view of how you implement it within your organization. It is a productivity improvement tool. It's not also a replacement tool, or we're reducing headcount, things like that, a monitoring tool. So there is numerous challenges. I think the challenges have always been there when adopting any new technology. I think this time with the market, I go back to the price budget. So AI is typically expensive. It has been. I mean, like I said, AI has been around and analytics for a long, long time. We've resold 3 products. Our clients. We've got clients that have adopted other products. And yeah, it's still used in less than 5% of contact centers. So why now? One is it's evolved and it's a lot more accurate, offers a lot more extra features that can add more value. But the other one is the price point's dropping. And ways you can implement it is dropping. So it's becoming feasible, and that cost of entry is a lot lower. So then that goes on to budget. So if you say there's this technology that's going to provide meaningful insight into my contact center that is going to help reduce interactions, improve experience, improve training and onboarding, immediate feedback to agents after every call, it sounds great. It always has. So why aren't more people using it? And I think we have got that return on investment, budget, productivity to get over. And it is a hump. And some of the new use cases people don't understand as well. So Matt mentioned auto QA. So automating a bit of your QA function doesn't reduce your QA staff, I will say. That allows you to hone in on the problems. People understand. When you start talking about real-time guidance or anomaly detection in calls, auto escalation, vulnerability detection, compliance, how you can do that, because it's new, you can say that sounds nice and it's really interesting, but you can't say I can relate that back to immediate value increase because it's new and not been talked about enough. And there's, as I said, not enough data to back it up yet. And I think that is the challenge for implementation. Getting it, I got asked, how would you build a case for the business when you want to implement the technology? I mean, all technology should pay for itself. Every software vendor in the world is there to deliver value to companies, and it should deliver value. Otherwise, you won't buy the software. We buy software, we're included. So it's helping with that. And sometimes vendors are going to have to do proof points. You're going to have to prove it. And I think that's going to become more and more common over the next couple of years with the way budgets are.
Amazing. So I've got one last question, and then we'll move on to Matt, who's going to talk through the journey and how we built technology. So it's to you, Ben, and I suppose you touched on why now, but why now for MaxContact's? What is MaxContact bringing to the table in this market?
Firstly, it was always in our plan, in our roadmap. It was there's a slide I use quite often, and it was always in our plan. I always wanted to build these technologies. It's why we built our own solution, to have that power to do what we wanted to do. But like I said, analytics has been around a long time, but this is the next wave of evolution. It's a new version, and we've installed analytics products. Our clients have got them, so I hear gripes. We ask for them for feedback on what it's like to use product X, Y, and Z. And the biggest challenge we've seen in contact centers with analytics is, one, the setup cost is prohibitive. Not always the ongoing, to be honest, but the setup cost is prohibitive. It takes more effort than people think to get the tools in place to deliver value. So then that return on investment's longer, and it takes longer to implement. And then the ongoing cost. So you'll set it up, it works for your contact center as it is today, you get meaningful feedback, then something like a pandemic happens, everyone's at home, all of a sudden all your interactions change, the conversations change, and you're back to square one, and it's almost like a new implementation. The technology today allows for that faster onboarding. The AI and the machine learning is a lot better. People talk about generative AI. The other side of it is just as exciting, where it's the ease of use has dropped down, the price points dropped down. So, for example, we could bill per hour. So you don't have to listen to all your calls. You might only need to do compliance on all your sales. Well, let's just do compliance on all your sales then. So you're actually getting the benefits at a lower level. So numerous reasons of why now. Technology's moved on. Cost eventually come in, and that ease of use means I see a bit of a gap in the market, like we did when we built the contact center for MaxContact's. There's that less of a skill set, and there's a reason why sub 50 seat, sub 100 seat contact centers don't have analytics, and it's normally you need quite a high skill set within your business to keep it going, and that's often ignored.
Great, thanks, Ben. Right, let's move and hand over to you, Matt.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so yeah, our AI build journey. Click to the next slide, please, Kaylee. So I've broken this down into 4 steps to try and keep it really simple. And as Ben alluded to, we've been on this journey now for certainly since I've joined the company. We've been looking at how we can, well, where should we invest our time into AI solutions for the benefit of our clients to solve real problems, not just because we want to be an AI company. We want to be solving real problems and generating value add for our clients. And so the first step was really to look at all the potential use cases. And so we had lots of conversations with internally, both with clients as well externally, industry experts, obviously lots of market research out there as well. So we did a huge amount of research, and we listed out probably 50 plus use cases that we could target, all with varying different degrees of application, cost, effort, and value associated with them. And what we decided based upon the evaluation was that AI, one aspect of AI that is really, really powerful is the ability for an AI model to read through large amounts of data, large amounts of text, and generate insights. So if I was to read, for example, a 20-page document and summarize it, it would probably take me about half an hour to do that. Around about 300 words per minute is my reading rate. It would take me about half an hour to read it through and write some summary notes. AI can do that in under a minute. So I could feed that 20-page document into an AI model and get a summary out within seconds. So it's really powerful at crunching large volumes of data and generating insights. So as we think about how we can apply that technology into the contact center, we have, and all our clients have, large volumes of data. And because the majority of the data today, the traffic into an outbound contact center, inbound and outbound, sorry, is still voice. So the majority of traffic is still 80% plus voice across our client base. We've decided to focus on voice, and every single voice interaction in the contact center, of course, is recorded. So we have those audio recordings, and the first step is to identify how we can turn those audio recordings into usable data. So we looked at the contact centers, we identified a challenge around onboarding of staff, training of staff, coaching of staff, identifying where staff need to improve, and AI, we believe, can significantly help with that aspect. So we click next, please, Kay. We're going to focus on the QA area within the contact center first and foremost. You can just click on the next slide, please, Kaylee. There we go. Maybe it's just taking a few seconds to come through. So with the QA function in mind, whether that you have dedicated QA today or it's the responsibility of the team leads, the people responsible for checking calls, checking those 1% to 2% of calls today in a typical contact center, because we're not using AI yet. We're still using the classic dip check method, where we'll filter the calls based upon probably something like, we'll look at call duration, maybe just pick a couple of really long calls, a couple of shorter calls, and the result codes. There's very little data to help pinpoint where, as a QA person, I need to target my time to focus on where the potential opportunities for improvement may be, where the pain points may be in my contact center, and the opportunities to improve the staff and their productivity and performance. Like I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, one of the great benefits of the AI models is they can crunch data within seconds and generate insights. So you're now in a situation where we can actually analyze 100% of client interactions, 100% of calls, transcribe, analyze, create insights. That then enables your QA team, your QA staff, to really target maybe it's those calls where you've got negative sentiment. Why was the sentiment negative in those? Drill into those, understand what the reasons were, what can we learn, what can we improve going forward. Topics. So within our help desk here, our support team, one of the challenges the support manager has is really getting deep insight into the problems that are coming into the desk. Yes, we log information into the system, but in that 5, 10, sometimes half an hour conversation, there's a lot more detail in there. And AI can scan all that content within that conversation and generate summaries, identify the topics within there, as well as the sentiment during the call as well. So those data points then become really useful for the QA function to target their efforts and identify areas for improvement. We will be extending to other interaction channels, so the digital interaction channels, email, web chat, etc. But because the majority of interactions today are predominantly voice still, we decided to start with voice and expand to digital in future. Now, if you just click next, please, Kaylee. Just want to call out a challenge here. So one of the challenges with data and starting with voices, they're audio recordings today. And so the first challenge we had on this journey was, how do we translate those audio recordings into usable data that we can then feed into the models and generate those insights? The way we do that is through speech transcription. And there are many different services out there. Microsoft Azure, who we host our solutions on, they have speech transcription services. OpenAI, who launched ChatGPT, they've got Whisper. There are many open source and there are many paid for transcription service providers out there. So we actually engaged with some industry experts to help us on this journey. We engaged with some industry experts last year to help us evaluate, I think it was about 7 individual speech transcription services last year. And we looked at things like word error rate. So how accurate are the transcriptions? Bear in mind that even if I or you transcribe a call, we'll probably achieve about 95% accuracy. Humans are fallible. we will introduce errors into that transcription. The machines performing the same task will very unlikely achieve 100% at any point in the future because of the variance in language used, the accents, the dialects, etc. But we can get very, very close to the level of human transcription. So the word error rate was really important to us. Equally important was what we call diarization error rate. And put simply, that is identifying the different callers on the call. So the customer and the agent, separating those out so we've got that two-sided conversation and we can actually evaluate the content of each of those independently. We also need a solution that can provide us with what we call batch support, where we can process a large volume of audio recordings overnight, for example, and real time. We do want to get to real-time use cases in the future where, you know, you and I are on a call and we're transcribing real time and we're doing really smart things like looking up in a knowledge base and suggesting next step actions to the agent live on the call based upon the context of the conversation. That's where we want to get to further down the line. And of course, performance, scale and cost are always key considerations when deciding on any new technology. So we went through a rigorous evaluation process. We evaluated the solutions using our own internal support data. And we had a good week or two where we had to get a number of staff manually transcribing the calls. So we had what they call the ground truth, against which we could compare the different speech to text service providers. And through that evaluation, we ended up with 2 services that we continue to evaluate towards the back end of last year, and then we finally made a decision on which service to go forward with. So accuracy of the transcription was paramount, and we invested quite a lot of time to get a good service in place that enables us to build effective insights using the models. Click next, please, Kay. So onto the models. There are a huge amount of artificial intelligence models out there. We all know about ChatGPT as a generative AI model, but there are lots of other models out there, both open source and paid for services now as well. And when we look to evaluate which are the best suited models for our tasks, and the tasks we're talking about for the first release at least, are the ability for the AI model to accurately identify the topics in the conversation, to be able to effectively summarize the conversation, and to track the sentiment in the conversation as well. Those are the 3 target use cases that we looked at to evaluate the different models in terms of the functionality. The non-functional requirements are security. We need to make sure that data sovereignty is achieved, that data is secure, that we are protecting our own intellectual property as a CCaaS software vendor. And so for those reasons, we actually chose to build our own AI models. So we will be hosting our own AI models. So there is no risk of any data being used by OpenAI for training purposes. It will all be closed house internally, hosted by ourselves here at MaxContact. And there'll be a combination of both large language models, ChatGPT, and non-large language models. We're not actually using ChatGPT. We've decided on a different LLM model, but all this will be done under the guise of what is generally termed as responsible AI. And responsible AI is, I'd like to say it's a new field, but it's not. It's been around for a few years, but with the advent of ChatGPT, it's become much more of a talking point in the industry. And responsibility AI is making sure that we don't introduce, or we do the best we can to not introduce bias into the data sets and into the results, that we have a safe, inclusive and effective for all possible end users system that respects privacy, transparency and robustness. And we're using industry guidelines from the NCSC, their guidelines for secure AI system development, incorporating some of the NIST principles from the States. And there's a not-for-profit organization called Equal AI that we're working with as well. Next, please, Kay. And so we've got the data, we've got the models to generate the insights. We then have the simple task of building the solutions to enable you, our clients and our end users, to be able to interact with and generate those insights and learnings and be able to take action. One of our core guiding principles as we build out these solutions is that we want to provide actionable insight out of the box with preferably zero end user configuration, but minimal client configuration required. Ben talked 10-15 minutes ago about one of the challenges of some of the solutions out there today are that they require a significant amount of upfront effort to start to generate insights for your business. Our goal is to have a very simple, very intuitive solution where you can generate insights within a day of actually spinning up the solution. And the light has just gone out in the room, so I'll stand up in a second when I finish this section just to turn it back on. But yeah, responsible AI. And then I think design partners. So design partners is a program that we set up about 12 months ago now. Hopefully a number of our design partner clients will be on this call today. And first of all, I want to say thank you for those that are on the call today. You've really helped us so far, and I hope you'll continue to work with us as we build out these AI solutions in 2024. And the design partners really live and breathe our journey as we build out these solutions, provide us with valuable feedback, because ultimately the approach that we take with our roadmap will be guided by you, our clients. And our approach will be iterative. You won't see any big bang releases every 6 months. Very soon you'll start to see some of these AI solutions come to market, and we will iterate rapidly with frequent updates and releases to make sure that we continue to improve those solutions for you, our clients. So we're very close to being ready to launch the first release of our true AI solution. And Ben, I think, is going to talk a little bit about the roadmap shortly. But yeah, I'm super excited about it. So jumping at the bit, shall we say. Over to you.
Yeah, just to touch on it, and thanks, Matt, is AI, just from that, it shows how AI is not easy. It's actually quite hard. There's a lot of technologies out there, and there's a lot of safeguards that need to be put in place so it can be used responsibly and securely as well. Okay, so yeah, I'm really excited about this year. It's one of the most exciting years of releases we're going to have at MaxContact. So we need to shout about it. So we can go to the next slide. Again, just to bounce off one of Matt's points, I will get to is that this is none of this is actually set in stone. We do that iterative development as a modern software company, and we listen to our clients about what will deliver value. So the further out we get, the more conceptual the roadmap is of what we could do, and this is where we want your feedback going forward. So we've done speech transcription that was actually released. So 100% of now our call recordings are fully transcribed with some basic features. We can edit the transcripts, which is a common request actually to edit transcripts. We can do custom words, which isn't as common as you think, even with some of the big vendors. So brand names are a problem. Audi is not a word, and being able to pick up on those custom words and dictionaries. Result code by campaign, and that's important actually. I mentioned before is this doesn't have to be an all or nothing application. We are looking to make it accessible to everyone. So you don't have to, a lot of vendors make you transcribe everything or commit to quite a high number of hours. And this is something we're hoping to be able to turn on and off at campaign level, at result code level, so to give you the flexibility that works for your company with next day availability. So next, and as you can see there, it will show, Matt mentioned what diarization is. So both speakers detected, you'll have the full transcription, search the transcripts, be able to look for the key problems, and you'll actually start now being able to get insight into those recordings and the data you have available to you. So that's already up for in for release. The exciting one is the next one, which is due out this quarter. So the release is this quarter. Really excited to start showing this to clients and doing demonstrations and getting feedback. And this is where we could provide, one of my key things is, yes, when we can transcribe the recordings, but like with reports, we find even with data in contact centers, it's just too much data. And you're going to get even more. So how do we provide meaningful insights? And I literally go through every widget on the dashboard and go, what's it telling me? If it's red, what's the action? If it's green, what's not? And it's not just data for data's sake. So topic detection is important to us so we can understand what topics are being picked up on the conversations. We're doing trend analytics. I'll show some examples if we move on to the next slide. So a perfect example that you touched on, we have the same problem in our little contact center, is what topics are we spending the most time on? And when there's an increase or an anomaly, how can I quickly, one, identify that, and two, get the information out? So we'll be able to quickly see trend analysis. We've clicked through and drilled down on what the topics were for that day, that time period. And then we go two ways, overall topics and then to individual agents. So that's really good and a problem we're looking to solve. Jumping ahead. So, and another reflection of this is sentiment. So we're saying, where's the negative sentiment coming in? And is the sentiment to specific topics, i.e. billing inquiries in this case? Or if we move on to the next slide as an example, is it an agent who's causing the most negative sentiment? So Annabelle in this, who we're going to pick on, has got 95% negative sentiment. So it really does provide the two-way volume, topic, sentiment matrix, but to an overall interaction and time management, but also then down to an individual level. So you can see where it's coming in from a high level and then start seeing where issues are with individuals and people. And that's not that it's necessarily doing a bad job. It identifies for training and coaching. And I will actually touch on the other side. Everyone goes to the negative, where the good parts are and what we need to do more of. We need to not forget part of that coaching feedback is also it helps you identify what's going well in your contact center. And typically when we look at the data, there's a lot more green than red, for example, and we should be using it to encourage and identify the areas we're getting right as well. So we move on as another example. We're going to then move, this was the #1 request across our client base, and it didn't make a difference what use case or industry you were in. People can understand the benefits of speech analytics for auto QA functions, 100% reach out of the box, language models and scorecards. I think people have learned to expect that it means you don't necessarily reduce all your staff. It means you can scale with the same amount of staff, but you actually become a lot more focused. And what's happening in contact centers with all this technology is companies are realizing they're not a cost center. Quite often they're seen as a contact center, customer service. What's happening is actually you have more touch points with your clients in the contact center and can provide more meaningful information that feeds back into the business. And the QA function is changing where it's not just about passing a QA form, but actually getting information back into how we can improve the business. And take an example, you're getting more calls, we've seen it. We know it's this topic. Well, a perfect example is misbilling that we just saw. So let's say it was misbilling. Well, that can feed back to why did we misbill in the first place? Because once the interactions have come in, the problem's already happened. How do we then feed that back to it stopping again? So there's a few areas on auto QA we're going down. So the main ones we've been asked to look at is vulnerability. So automatic detection of vulnerability across different industries and sectors, because it can be miscommunicated or misheard by individuals. Humans are infallible. And I heard one the other day that I didn't know was classed as a vulnerability, and that was someone who had just been released from prison. Apparently that is a vulnerable state and is covered. I didn't know that. So this is where the models can learn and cover even scenarios that we might not be aware of. And on regulation, so we've used FCA as an example, but regulatory bodies. I think everyone's aware that in my time, regulations have got stricter and stricter year on year, with more and more emphasis and more power being given to the governing bodies, and more emphasis for you to ensure that your contact center is compliant. And no longer can you get away with a sign-off sheet in training to say, well, you train the user on it. You have to show a continual dedication to ensuring that behavior is being met. We can look at the regulations and we can pick up on certain points, and we can automatically pull up recordings that we think might have a problem, as an example. It's not just pass and fail, it's also that information and risk reduction is something we're looking at. And then, performance, fail reasons, give that information back to the end user, allow them to use the data so it's meaningful. And I will use meaningful data. I've looked at products out there with 10, 15, 20, 100 dashboards. I asked one question and there wasn't a dashboard for it, the first question I asked, and the dashboards I was looking at didn't provide me with any answers. So we need to make sure that when we're getting access to all this data, meaningful information is being fed back into the business relevant to that person's role. So again, looking forward to this. Can we move on, please? Then we're going further conceptual. So we've talked about post-call assistance, also summarization. I do think does add value. We do a lot of CRM updates, at the end of conversations, so we could summarize and automatically update the CRM. Topic detection, we've mentioned, coaching feedback. I like the disposition auto suggest, how many debt collectors here of users put through promise to pay, where we didn't hear any promise to pay on the conversation. We'll be able to do that checking and analysis as well to make sure what's then being reported back is accurate. Here's a quick example of what a post-call could look like. So we give some feedback to the user. It was a great call. We summarize. And even, I like the feedback, but also that could, for me, I mentioned it before, encouragement. You did a great call. Keep it up. Well done. We all know how hard it is to motivate agents. And we're still seeing, I think the stats show that 50% of users are still remote. So that's, call centers used to be energetic when I used to go to them. You used to have a friend on either side of you. Now 50% of users are sat at home. Motivation is actually becoming a key feedback that we're getting from clients as a highest priority. So we want to look at how we can introduce these technologies to help benefit that as well. And then moving on to Matt's golden dream, the real-time agent. So there's always been a debate with QA as an example, especially in compliance, where it's reactive. So the sentence is the only way you can become 100 or guarantee 100% compliance is that real-time auto QA. So you can have a group of things that your agent has to do, everything from OPIN to compliance statements, etc. And it ticks them off as the agent's done them, and even then alerts to the ones that haven't been done. And if you do it real time, you can guarantee compliance, or at least guarantee detection and notification if it's not been done for whatever reason. We can look at crosstalk, simple things, silence, but we can also look at negative sentiment shift to alert to the agent. We're seeing a tone shift. We're seeing some negative words. Can you show some empathy? Say, really appreciate, the challenge you've been facing. We're really sorry. Let's see how I can solve that for you, for example. And then as Matt said, and I think this is important, these tools, yes, there is a thing for like digital deflection and reducing agent interactions, but they are also productivity tools. Who likes working on 3 different applications, having to go and do things and the admin? If as an example, with generative AI now, so if you wrote your own knowledge base, you had a knowledge base, we can point it at your knowledge base. We can listen to the client real time and provide useful next course of actions like special offers or knowledge base articles for quick solutions to agents. Now, that really helps with training and onboarding. We tend to find with technology, for example, Copilot and Dev, it really helps the junior and the new starters and the medium level devs. The best devs that experience hate it. They think it's annoying because they already know all the answers. So, but that onboarding, that retention of staff, the skill set that you lose if you've high attrition in contact centers at the moment, it can really help solve some of those problems. And this is where we really want feedback, because these are all conceptual ideas from conversations we're having. It just shows you the direction the technology can go and some of the problems we can solve. So, looks really exciting.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, whistle stop tour there, but yeah, we've gone over by a couple of minutes, but for good reason. It's all exciting stuff. So in terms of next steps, we are holding a live demo of speech analytics in March. So an email will go out to everyone who has signed up today, and the information will be in there. So if you'd like to see it firsthand and take speech analytics for a spin, March is that date. I can't remember what date it is, but the registration link will be there. And then finally, for our existing clients, we do have an early adopters program as well. So Matt mentioned design partners, slightly different. Design partners have helped build the solution so far, but early adopters, if this is something that you're looking at for your organization, there'll be preferential pricing available for any of our existing clients. So there'll also be information of how you can speak to your account managers in that email as well. And for any new faces, if you do have FOMO, then feel free to sign up to a demo. We're more than happy to talk to you. So just reach out off the back of the email. But thanks very much for spending time with us today, and thanks to Ben taking us through the roadmap, and Matt as well. So if there are any questions, just feed them through to the team, and we're more than happy to answer them. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Appreciate your time
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you all. Thanks for your time. Speak to you soon.
Bye.